Every single day, you are absolutely bombarded with messages. They're on your phone, on the street, in the news, all of them crafted to be understood by millions of people instantly. They feel universal, right? But here's the thing, that's kind of an illusion. And today, we're going to break down exactly why. So, picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, and boom, an ad like this pops up. It's designed to grab your attention in, what, less than a second? Or hey, maybe you're walking down the street and see a poster for a local concert. It's using those bold colors and big text to get its message out to a huge audience, and fast.
And yeah, of course, you've got your classic news articles, trying to get information out to as many people as possible. See the pattern here? All of these are textbook examples of what we call mass communication. So, what is mass communication, really? Well, it's basically a process where professionals use media to get messages out there to really large and diverse audiences. The whole point is to create a specific meaning and, influence people. Seems simple enough, doesn't it?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. What happens when that big, diverse audience speaks a totally different language or comes from a completely different culture? All of a sudden, that simple process? Yeah, not so simple anymore. Okay, so let's get into the first big hurdle. You see, translating a message isn't just about, plugging words into a dictionary and spitting out new ones. It's so much more complex. Think of it like trying to rebuild a house, but on a totally new and different foundation. Because every single language has its own unique architecture, right? Its own grammar, its own set of rules. And the more different that structure is, the tougher it becomes to get the exact meaning, the tone, and the style across. This is like challenge number one for any translator. All right, ready for another layer of complexity? Imagine trying to talk about something, but the word for it just straight up doesn't exist in the language you're translating to. And believe me, this happens way more often than you'd think. So, check this out. In English, we say guest room. Simple, 2 words. But in Greek, they've got one single word for that whole concept. And then you jump over to Italian, and suddenly you need 3 words to say the same thing. It's the same core idea, but each language just packages it differently. Now just think for a second. What if you're writing a snappy ad that relies on the punchiness of guest room? It's just not going to land the same way, is it? Okay, but what if the word does exist, but it's a kind of linguistic shapeshifter? This is another massive headache for translators. Words that look the same, sound the same, but mean totally different things depending on how you use them. All right, let's look at a sentence. To you and me, this probably makes perfect sense. Our brains just instantly figure out the 2 different meanings of the word scale. But for a translator, whoa, this is a potential landmine. And here's why it's such a big deal. You've got scale, the verb, to remove scales from a fish, and you've got scale, the noun, the thing you weigh stuff on. 2 totally different ideas. If you try to translate that sentence word for word into a language that uses 2 separate words for those concepts, well, it just becomes total gibberish. So we've covered structure, we've covered missing words, we've even covered words with double meanings. But now we get to the final frontier. We're talking about concepts so deeply woven into a culture that they almost seem to, well, defy translation entirely. These are what some people call the untranslatables. So, what are these untranslatables? Well, they're the things that make language so wonderfully, frustratingly human. We're talking idioms, sarcasm, and puns. And let me tell you, this is where even the smartest, most advanced AI translators just hit a wall. Let's start with idioms. Phrases like to take someone for a ride. We all know that means to fool or trick someone, right? But if you translate that literally, it just means you're giving them a lift in your car. The actual intended meaning is just poof, gone. And then there's sarcasm. Oh boy. Sarcasm is all about saying the exact opposite of what you really mean. The meaning isn't in the words on the page. It's in the tone, the context, the eye roll you can't see in text. So how on earth do you translate that? A word-for-word translation will literally say the opposite of what the person meant. It's a total disaster. And that brings us to the ultimate translator's nightmare, the pun. Puns are built on a house of cards. They only work because of the specific sounds and the double meanings of words in one specific language. Trying to recreate that little spark of playful wordplay, it's next to impossible. In fact, a lot of professional translators will tell you this is where they just have to throw their hands up. And really, that gets to the heart of it all. Technology is getting scarily good, but when you get down to it, there's this core layer of language that is still uniquely human. It's not just about vocabulary lists and grammar rules. It's about getting the culture, the humor, and all those unspoken rules that we all just know. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you see an ad from another country or read an article that's been translated, just pause for a second. Think about the incredible, complicated journey those words took to get to you. And ask yourself, what meaning, what little bit of culture might be hiding just under the surface, maybe even lost in translation?